What if our obsession with technological progress is secretly sabotaging our spiritual well-being? As we accumulate more stuff and comforts, Friedrich Nietzsche exposed a haunting reality. Our social conditioning doesn't free us to truly thrive. It merely anesthetizes us into conformity. In this video, you'll be confronted with the unsettling emptiness underlying the surface of contemporary life, and discover how Nietzsche's incisive thought can guide you toward reclaiming an authentic, purposeful life. When I was younger, my mother would force me to cook different meals and do various chores, saying that they would help me be a better adult in the future. But I hated cooking, and so when we had relatives over, I'd try to hide myself. My mother sat me down one day and told me that what I was doing was making me look irresponsible to our relatives. It became her regular complaint, and I soon began to wonder if I learned those chores to be a better adult or to be a better adult for others. To understand why Friedrich Nietzsche's philosophy is often locked away behind academic language and layers of confusion, let's talk about his battle against conformity. It was never a personal battle aimed at specific individuals. No, Nietzsche's fight was much bigger than that. He was taking on ideas, deeply rooted beliefs and social systems that in his eyes were quietly chipping away at the human spirit. He was not just challenging what people thought, he was challenging the entire way they had been taught to think. Nietzsche was born in the middle of the 19th century, during a time when the world around him was shifting fast. Factories were rising, machines were taking over, and the air in once quiet towns now smelled like smoke and progress. The old power of the church was fading. People were beginning to talk more about freedom, about equality, about democracy. On the surface, it seemed like the world was moving forward. Things were changing, and for many, it felt like humanity was evolving towards something better. But Nietzsche was not convinced. While others celebrated these changes as signs of growth, he saw something else lurking beneath the surface. To him, it looked like people were slowly being molded into something smaller, weaker, more obedient. He believed that modern society, with all its rules and values, was not helping people rise to their full potential. Instead, it was taming them. It was squeezing them into neat boxes, cutting off their wildness, their creativity, their hunger for something greater. Nietzsche believed that the very things being sold as moral or good were designed to keep people in line. He felt that greatness was being suffocated by comfort, by conformity, by a culture that rewarded safety over strength. He was not attacking progress for the sake of being dramatic. He was trying to wake people up, to show them that what they were calling progress might be a slow surrender of the self. That is why his work still shakes people up today. He was not just pointing out problems. He was asking people to look in the mirror and question everything they had accepted without a second thought. At the heart of Nietzsche's critique is what he called the slave revolt in morality. To him, early civilizations, like ancient Greece and Rome, had a moral code that celebrated things like strength, beauty, confidence, and a zest for life. This was what he described as master morality. In this world, being good meant having vitality, being creative, and holding power. In contrast, being bad was linked to weakness or pettiness. Nietzsche wasn't suggesting cruelty or injustice. He was pointing out that it was simply the way things were. For him, it was like nature itself. Just as a lion hunts a gazelle, it's not evil. It just is. It's a reflection of the natural order, where vitality and power are celebrated as signs of life's true force. Nietzsche admired this kind of morality because it was unapologetically life-affirming. It didn't shy away from what it meant to live fully, to assert yourself, and to shape the world around you. It was a morality built on the idea that life should be embraced with all its complexities, struggles, and ambitions. In this view, weakness and submission were not considered virtuous, but rather obstacles that stood in the way of human flourishing. What Nietzsche saw happening later especially with the rise of Christianity and other religious or moral systems, was a drastic shift. He believed that these newer moral frameworks were essentially a revolt against the natural world, an attempt to turn the values of strength and vitality upside down. Instead of celebrating life and power, these new systems promoted humility, meekness, and obedience as virtues. Nietzsche thought that in doing so, they essentially rewarded weakness and condemned what was strong and bold, creating a moral system that stifled human potential. Then came what Nietzsche's philosophy called slave morality, born out of the oppressed. He argued that those who were too weak to assert power decided to flip the moral script. Instead of admiring strength, they labeled it as evil and celebrated weakness as good. Humility, poverty, and submission were elevated to moral ideals not because they led to human flourishing, but because they helped make the powerful appear corrupt. For instance, leave a heart emoji in the comments if you relate to this experience. You're watching others shine in sports or quizzes at school while you stay in the background. You weren't the loudest voice in the room, not the one everyone turned to. So you started telling yourself that being unnoticed meant you were deeper, more real, more virtuous. You began to see confidence as arrogance and popularity as emptiness. You didn't just accept being overlooked, you made it a moral stance. But deep down, it wasn't about values. It was about making peace with a world that didn't place you on top. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said you've been lied to all along. You didn't naturally believe weakness was good. You were taught to believe that because it made the pain of powerlessness easier to bear. The meek did not just follow these ideals, they invented them. They created a new moral system as a way to cope with their inability to challenge or change the powerful. In Nietzsche's view, this moral inversion where suffering became sacred and ambition became sin became the foundation of much of Western society. Christianity, democracy, and even modern education played a role in entrenching these values, elevating weakness and painting it as righteousness. In this new system, instead of strength, courage, and ambition being praised as virtues, it was the meek, the humble, and those who suffered who were seen as morally superior. Nietzsche argued that these values stifled human growth, promoting passivity over the bold, life-affirming actions that fuel real achievement and progress. This shift created a world where people were encouraged to suppress their instincts and ambitions, to accept weakness as an ideal, and to see greatness as something dangerous or sinful. Nietzsche felt that this moral revolution was, in many ways, a trap. It kept people from embracing their true potential and thriving in a world that celebrated strength, creativity, and vitality. Instead, they were taught to worship suffering, to view struggle as something that purified them, and to fear the very things that could lead them to greatness. One of the clearest examples of this is the lie that good things come to those who wait. It sounds virtuous, even wise, but all it really does is convince people to stay still, to settle, and to call it patience. It glorifies passivity and masks inaction as moral strength. But as Nietzsche saw it, this kind of thinking doesn't elevate you, it cages you. Nietzsche's bird of prey metaphor is powerful and vivid. He paints a picture where the strong, represented by the hawk, is called evil by the weak, symbolized by the lambs. The lambs don't label the hawks as evil because the hawks are unjust or cruel. Rather, they do it because the lambs need to believe that their vulnerability, their fragility, is what makes them virtuous. This moral framework creates a society that is like a farm, where everyone is expected to stay within their boundaries and follow the rules set by those in control. Every time someone tries to rise above, to challenge the system, or to assert their power, the system pushes back with cries of selfish, dangerous, evil. In this way, the very system that enforces conformity becomes a trap, keeping people small and passive. Nietzsche believed that to truly break free from this social conditioning, you must first understand three important lessons that challenge everything the system tells you about morality, success, and virtue. The first lesson to understand is the vacuum of meaning. For centuries, religion served as the foundation for people's sense of purpose and meaning in life. While religion was not perfect, it offered structure and direction. It provided a clear set of values that told people what mattered most, what they should aspire to, and how they should live their lives. But with the rise of modernity, which placed all its faith in science, progress, and rational thinking, religion and the idea of God were gradually pushed aside. The big question then became, what took God's place? The answer, sadly, is nothing. Without a higher power to guide them, humanity had the chance to take control of their own values and define their life purpose. Instead of embracing the opportunity to create something new and meaningful, society held on tightly to the old moral systems. The outward structure of morality remained, but it had become empty, lacking the depth and spiritual foundation it once had. People still followed the same rules: be kind, be humble, be good. But there was no real substance behind these actions anymore. The result was a system of morality that felt cold and shallow. What had once been a meaningful guide to life turned into just a list of behaviors people followed because they were told to, not because they fully understood or believed in them. There was no longer a sense of mystery, no connection to something greater than themselves. It was as if society had inherited a set of rules, but without the belief or the reason to back them up. This created a kind of moral emptiness, where actions became routine and life lost its sense of deeper significance. Nietzsche saw this shift, and he was deeply disturbed by it. Instead of embracing a divine purpose that gave life meaning, humanity built systems of control disguised as fairness. Equality, on the surface, might sound noble and just, but to Nietzsche, it represented something far more dangerous. He saw it as the ultimate tool for flattening human potential. For Nietzsche, true human beings are unequal in every way, whether it's in strength, vision, or willpower. People are not all the same, and trying to treat everyone as if they are is a disservice to the uniqueness of each individual. In his view, equality, when weaponized, becomes a way to punish excellence. It takes those who stand out and who possess extraordinary abilities or qualities and forces them to conform to the lowest common denominator. Instead of celebrating what makes people unique, it rewards mediocrity and sameness. The outliers, those who dare to be different, are pushed aside or even silenced. And this system, which pretends to promote fairness, only thrives by holding back those who could truly elevate humanity. Nietzsche believed that this drive for equality, while seemingly kind and just, ultimately stifled creativity, innovation, and the greatness of the human spirit. It smiles and claims to be inclusive, while in reality, it undermines the very things that could lead to true progress. Goodness, as it is taught in modern systems, has been sterilized. It has been stripped of any real vitality or depth. Modern morality often rewards those who follow the rules without question, those who behave, conform, and keep their heads down. It rewards smallness and meekness, not because these qualities are inherently virtuous, but because they fit into the mold of what society considers acceptable. Nietzsche called this a life-denying morality. This system of values doesn't celebrate life or the vibrancy of human experience. Instead, it worships suffering, idolizes victims, and condemns everything vibrant, intense, and unapologetically alive. It teaches people to suppress their instincts, to minimize their passions, and to avoid standing out at all costs. Institutions like schools, religion, and media play a huge role in reinforcing this. They may pretend to be empowering, but in reality, they are training people to obey, to conform, and to fit into the narrow boundaries of what is considered right. They teach people to suppress their individuality in exchange for social approval. The loud, The bold and the unconventional are told to be quiet, to be careful, and to fit in with the rest. The strange and the unique are told to be normal, as if there is something wrong with being different or challenging the status quo. From a young age, we are molded not to thrive or to become the best versions of ourselves, but simply to fit in and survive within a system that prioritizes uniformity and control. Nietzsche's insight into this was both devastating and eye-opening. In a world where the belief in God and divine purpose has faded, the responsibility for finding meaning in life falls squarely on our shoulders. The weight of this responsibility should be empowering, but instead of embracing it, we refuse to take it up. Rather than creating new and vibrant values that can lead us to truly meaningful lives, we have built a morality that diminishes the spirit, one that suppresses creativity and individuality. This morality, according to Nietzsche, castrates the human spirit. It stifles passion, greatness, and vitality. It teaches people to be passive, to avoid standing out, and to follow the rules without questioning their true purpose or worth. Instead of encouraging individuals to live fully and authentically, society applauds a kind of lifeless conformity. The result is a society that celebrates the corpse of the human spirit, rather than its living, breathing essence. So, if this hollow morality is not the answer, what should replace it? This brings us to the second lesson, and it can be both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. For Nietzsche, the answer is the will to power. But do not mistake this for a desire to dominate others or conquer the world. It is not about tyranny or control. The will to power is a deeply personal drive, the inner force that pushes us to become more than we are. It is the desire to create, to evolve, and to constantly transform ourselves into something higher. The soul yearns to expand beyond its current limits, to reach for greatness, and to break through the boundaries that hold us back. The will to power is about self-overcoming and growth. It is the essence of what it means to be alive, constantly striving to be better, to do better, and to push the limits of what we can achieve. It is the inner motivation that propels us to reach new heights, tap into our fullest potential, and live in a way that is vibrant and full of energy. But here is the catch. The world does not celebrate this drive. It fears it. A society built on the values of equality, obedience, and conformity is terrified by the will to power because it threatens the very foundations of its control. When individuals embrace the will to power, they step outside the lines, they challenge the rules, and they refuse to be bound by the limitations imposed by society. This kind of radical individuality, this powerful self-expression, disrupts the status quo. And that is why the world often tries to suppress it. They want you to stay small, to stay within the safe confines of what has been deemed acceptable. Because when you step into your true power, you challenge everything they have built. It is an intimidating force, and that is exactly why Nietzsche believed we must embrace it, despite the fear it might stir in us. Embracing the will to power means living fully, unapologetically, and with a deep commitment to becoming the best version of yourself, no matter what the world tells you. Society has constructed a massive machine designed to stifle the will to power and replace it with the will to conform. But according to Nietzsche's philosophy, higher men are the ones who refuse this sedation. They are not saints or rulers. They are individuals who live authentically, dangerously, and creatively. They do not follow the path set for them. Instead, they write their own rules as they go along. And for this audacity, they are despised. The herd, in contrast, is celebrated. They follow orders, repeat what they are told, and fit into the mold. Modern culture glorifies the herd instinct, praising unity while discouraging any deviation. Those who are too different are met with suspicion and often labeled as troublemakers or rebels. Even modern ambition has been tamed. Take hustle culture, for instance. It appears to celebrate hard work and persistence, but in reality, it only supports effort within safe, acceptable boundaries. The system says, be a CEO, but not an artist. Build a tech startup, but not a revolutionary movement. The message is clear: build, but only according to the rules we set. True power, power that can rewrite values, challenge fundamental beliefs, and dare to be ugly, raw, and honest, is rejected. This kind of power threatens the entire framework that society has built. It disrupts the comfort of conformity, the stability of predictability, and the safety of following well-worn paths. Nietzsche does not want followers. He does not want people to simply adopt his ideas or build systems that others can obey. What he seeks are creators, individuals who are bold enough to burn the mold, break free from the conventional, and sculpt something entirely new and unrecognizable in its place. These creators are the ones who embrace the will to power in its purest form, transforming the world not by fitting into it, but by reshaping it. So how do you escape this labyrinth? How do you unlearn everything you've been taught and step into your power? This is where the third lesson comes in: becoming who you are. Nietzsche's answer is not rebellion just for the sake of rebellion. It's about self-overcoming. You must become the artist of your existence. This means letting go of the idols you've been taught to worship, confronting your shadows, and forging your values in the fire of your experiences. You must embrace amor fati, the love of fate. Don't resist suffering. Don't curse your wounds. Love them. They are the crucible that shapes your will. Nietzsche believed that nothing should be erased, nothing rejected. Every scar is a brushstroke on the canvas of your becoming. You must create your values. Stop asking the herd mentality of asking what's right according to others. Ask what's right for you. Society will offer you ready-made meaning. It will beg you to wear a name tag, to fit into the box it has made for you. But you must refuse. Nietzsche challenges you to write your commandments with trembling hands. Let your values be yours, not handed down from tradition or imposed by authority. Create something authentic. That is the path to true power, to living life on your terms. This isn't just theory. It's your life. You felt the moments when you dreamed big and someone told you to be realistic. The times you wanted to speak up but swallowed your words. And when you entered a room and shrank back, dimming your light because it felt too big. These experiences aren't random. They are the echoes of a system that wants you to stay small. Nietzsche's voice calls out in these moments, not to condemn you, but to invite you to something more. He whispers that the shame, guilt, and fear you feel aren't truly yours. Those feelings you had were given to you by others, planted in you to keep you from embracing your power. You were born a storm, yet taught to fear the thunder inside you. You were told to keep your wings folded and your light dimmed so no one else would feel small. What you've been taught to fear is the very thing you should embrace: your greatness. The system isn't some shadowy villain waiting to trap you. It's the neighbor who frowns at your dreams, the teacher who rewards obedience over curiosity, and the voice that asks, "Who do you think you are?" Nietzsche understood this. The path to greatness isn't about fitting in. It's about becoming who you truly are. His philosophy doesn't promise comfort, but it offers fire. And in that fire, you won't be destroyed. You will be forged. The system we live in is rigged, yes, but it is far from unbreakable. The choice is yours. Nietzsche's legacy isn't a set of rules or a doctrine to follow. It's a dare. It's a challenge to look into the abyss of conformity and boldly declare, "I will build my sky." It only exists in the minds of those who choose to believe in it. Every time you choose truth over politeness, ambition over shame, creation over imitation, you strike at the heart of the system. Every moment you break free from what others expect of you and step into your own authenticity, you chip away at its foundation. Now, I want to hear your story. What's one societal lie you've come to recognize you were living under, and how will you break free from it? Share with us in the comments below. Your awakening could trigger someone else's journey to freedom. If this video resonated with you on a profound level, don't simply scroll away. Tap like, subscribe, and press the notification bell, joining our community of courageous thinkers reclaiming their most authentic selves. Remember Nietzsche's words, "No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself."